How many times have you heard the Seiyu singing and wondered why they are not that popular or why doesn't their solo music sell well? I know for sure that I've thought that about a multitude of Seiyu that, in my opinion, are impressive singers, some with pretty unique singing skills, yet it seems that no one, or barely anyone, gives them the credit they deserve. In this episode, you and I will put the spotlight on 7 out of the various underrated singers among male Seiyu. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyu Lounge, I am your host Vanessa and today's topic is 7 underrated singers among male Seiyu. It is time to put the spotlight on the underdogs, on Seiyu that whenever they are cast in 2D projects, you already know that you'll be in for a treat with their singing skills. Seiyu that perhaps deserved more chances to sing, who knows, even making a solo debut. At The Hand That Feeds HQ, I do have the pleasure of listening to a wide variety of music genres, as well as many 2D groups, solo artists, bands and Seiyu units. Reviewing music for more than a decade has led to me coming across Seiyu with impressive singing skills that everyone takes for granted, or that aren't loved enough when there are big stars in the same groups as them, or just because they are not part of popular 2D music projects. For purposes of you understanding why these 7 underrated singers among Seiyu are in this episode, I'll give you a quick rundown of the 2D music projects they are active with or are best known for, their singing technique and voice tone, and standout performances for you to check. Essentially, this is a list feature with a couple of song suggestions in the mix. Now, without further ado, let's kick off this episode. It is rather known that bass singers are not appreciated in 2D music groups. Many people don't find a bass singer all that appealing. I find it strange as bass singers are literally the most attractive of all due to their low, resounding notes, warmth, and at times effortless, mature allure. Tarusuke Shingaki is such a singer, and as weird as it may be, is extremely underrated. For those that may not be aware, Tarusuke Shingaki is best known as the leader of Vezi, group part of the VezRock franchise. He's also active as part of an indie rock band outside of his work in the Seiyu industry. Tarusuke Shingaki is a sweet bass singer with a lot of singing experience under his belt. He's got a unique melodic tone that I absolutely love. Although it may be a weird comparison, listening to the way Shingaki sings reminds me of the great George Michael. I hear shades of him in Shingaki's performances. There's something about the emotion Shingaki puts in his performances, the effortless allure he brings to those, that suggestive vibrato that I love and, in a way, remind me of who is easily one of the best singers to grace this world. As ludicrous as that comparison may sound, I really appreciate Shingaki's singing tone, reliability, not to mention his versatility. There's a reason he was chosen as Vezi's leader and the face of VezRock. His singing skills are not a joke. I recommend you to check Takaaki Mamiya and Kiraoka with Trick Trap Trick and Vezi's Yurete Itayo. Another bass singer I love and is also extremely underrated is Daiki Hamano. As of late, Hamano is a name that is starting to stand out. His rising popularity is mainly due to his work as part of Fame in the Aopella franchise, as well as Anthos in the Hanadol franchise. However, Hamano is active in other groups such as the Kogado in the Idolmaster Saidam franchise, Zix in the Tsuki Pro franchise, and M4 Seiyu unit signed to Marine Entertainment. Daiki Hamano is a pure bass singer. He's not a singer with a massive vocal range, but can, if need be, tap into baritone range to add a unique touch to his performances or better, harmonize with other Seiyu in the various 2D groups he's a part of. And he's extremely good at it. 100% comfortable with his singing tone, with an insane amount of control and an effortless, cool twist to it. He's got a natural vibrato that shines as well. Hamano is well versed as a singer, with a voice tone that is difficult to master, and always makes sure that his performances have both a cool and alluring vibe that will make you stop everything you're doing and listen to him. He's charismatic and versatile, able to sing, rap, and perform bass parts for an a cappella group, and always a reliable addition to whatever group that wants his talents. I recommend you to check Zix with Zigzag, Anthos with STOP, and Fame with Think About You. To wrap up this section about bass singers, I bring you Takuya Sato. It's not surprising that he's on this list, and given how many times I've talked about him, you wouldn't be wrong to be under the assumption that he's really popular. Thing is, it's not that simple for Takuya Sato. He seems popular, but he actually isn't. He's always in that midway between being or not being popular. That's incredibly weird, and I honestly can't find a logical explanation for it. Takuya Sato was once a solo artist with a really solid career that put all his CDs within Oricon's top 40. However, things didn't work out, it seems, and his solo career has been on hiatus since 2018. However, Takuya Sato has always shown his talents as a singer in a multitude of 2D music projects, some of those really high profile. Once again, because he's a bass singer with a bit of a baritone range to him, he never gets to be the face of a 2D music project. But you know for sure that whatever 2D music project he joins will deeply benefit from having him around. He's best known for his work as part of one of the most popular 2D groups currently active. I'm talking about Trigger, the record-setting group that, despite not being the main group in the Idolish 7 franchise, ended up being extremely loved even by people that don't like the franchise. It's quite impressive, and that has taken Trigger to beat records as well as impress everyone with their synergy. Takuya Sato is an important part of the group, being the only bass singer and the first one to record what ends up being the core of every song by the group. He's shown countless times his deep, suggestive vibrato and smooth ad-libs with the group. As part of Rockdown, Sato puts emphasis on his mature allure that is synonymous with him. As a result, he's been able to make a lot of jaws drop with how effortlessly dangerous he can sound. More recently, he joined Fame in the Aopella franchise. He's the resident low baritone and he's actually had the spotlight to himself a couple of times, showing everyone that he's not only a reliable singer with a lot of control and a consistency that many envy, but is also able to drive songs forward. Given his track record of successful 2D music project participations and how good of a singer he is, it still baffles me that not many people know about him, have never heard of him, or didn't even know he had a solo career. Takuya Sato is indeed one of the hidden treasures among seiyuu. I recommend you to check Ryunosuke Tsunashi's Risky na Kanojo, Rockdown and Vezi with Suki Sukis, and Fame with Think About You. Baritone is the most common vocal range for men. As such, the wide majority of talents among male seiyuu have this vocal range, but as common as those are, they don't often take the lead into the music projects. Reliable, the middle ground that every group needs, baritones can be the Swiss Army knife that will do a little bit of everything in the groups they're a part of. That's because many have mixed vocal ranges that can either tap into bass or tenor range, whether natural or on a faux capacity. Masahiro Yamanaka is such a singer. He's a certified baritone with a wide vocal range. Certified baritones are rare. That certification is usually related to the fact that the seiyuu in question does more narration work than anime. Directors usually look for specific voice tones or ranges within those voice tones when choosing the narrators for TV shows. And as such, seiyuu can have their vocal range certified for purposes of getting narration work with more ease. But yeah, Masahiro Yamanaka is a baritone, a genuinely good one. He's got plenty of experience as a singer from his work with indie rock bands outside of the music industry. He's also a good, reliable choice for whatever group wants to welcome him aboard. If need be, he is dangerously suggestive in his performances. He can also rock the stage as an aggressive, raw rock frontman. Ballads are not an issue for him. R&B music is where his punchy vibrato thrives. And he taps both into bass and tenor range, although in a faux capacity if the performance requires it. Yamanaka is best known for his work as part of Vezi in the Vez Rock franchise. That's the only 2D music project he's currently active in. He's recently been announced as a member of the cast of Evil Line Records' new ambitious 2D music project Charisma House. He's also part of Airaji Seiyu unit with Yusuke Shirai. In all music projects he's a part of, you can feel Yamanaka's excitement for music. He's that kind of singer that can't hide his emotions when performing. That's an interesting contrast because in a live setting, Yamanaka doesn't show much or any emotion. Yamanaka is the type of singer that I believe 2D music projects should bet more in. He's got a varied skill set, he's got a unique vibrato, a wide vocal range that rides on top of a consistent baritone range. He's incredibly talented, yet he doesn't get the attention he deserves. I recommend you to check Issa with Blurry Sorrow and Rockdown and Vezi with Suki Sukis. There are very few male seiyuu that you can call vocal chameleons. Seiyuu that excel performing various music genres, have wide vocal ranges, and make sure to be the characters they sing as whenever they work with 2D groups. They have impressive singing skills with a vast array of techniques at their disposal. They are genuinely rare talents among male seiyuu. Seiyuu that make you have a double take at the credits in the song to check who is really performing it. Ayumu Murase fits the description in more ways than one. Now, I did have a hard time trying to categorize Ayumu Murase's voice tone. He's best known for using his tenor high range, but what is surprising is that he's actually got a full baritone range on top of it. It may be a higher baritone, or you can even argue is a low tenor, but those are technical details that would actually take the whole episode to discuss, so I'll refrain from doing it. Murase has a unique vocal range. It is among the widest for male seiyuu. He's got the full baritone and tenor ranges and can tap into the bass range with relative ease. That's unheard of. That alone makes Murase one of the most unique singers among male seiyuu, and I am not talking about his singing tone, but his vocal range. Of course, if you're not familiar with such concepts as baritone, tenor, and bass ranges, what I'm saying doesn't make much sense to you. To make it a bit easier for you and help you familiarize with those voice tones, I welcome you to check episode 16 as I explored each one of those in a lot of detail with examples. Murase can sing in a high key as he does with Fine in Ensemble Stars and Mofu Mofuen in the Idolmaster Saidem franchise. He can go low like he does as part of Bei in the Paradox Live franchise. He can sing in baritone range like he did for Crystal Cross in the Bandia Rose franchise. He can sing in English and Japanese and transition between both languages seamlessly. He's even sang in Korean as part of Bei. It is crazy how talented he is. He is a vocal chameleon, and those are really hard to come by. Ayumu Murase is in stellar company alongside Toshiyuki Toyonaga, Takuya Guchi, Tomoaki Maino, and Soma Saito. I've got to say that I'm quite fond of his natural baritone range. Although natural, he doesn't use it that much when performing with 2D groups, which is quite the interesting take. You'll more commonly find him singing as a little kid than in a comfortable, charismatic register. Interestingly enough, I feel like fans of seiyuu and 2D groups don't give him enough credit. He's a unique singer with a massive vocal range, a vocal chameleon that suits whichever group he's cast in. When you see his name in the cast for a 2D group, you know that you're in for something really special. I recommend you to check Sho with Top of the World and Bei with Fabulous. If there is a tenor I love to listen to is Yusuke Kobayashi. He's not a power belter or a flashy singer, so don't expect lots of trips to the highest range, but when he goes there, he can make chills run down your spine. His falsetto is incredibly delicate but with a good technique. His vibrato is sweet with a lot of power in the mix. His comfortable singing tone is quite high and filled with drama. In a way, he's the kind of singer I believe would excel in ballads. However, there's much more to Kobayashi than what meets the ear. He's versatile, being able to perform in his natural tenor range while tapping into baritone range. He can sound gentle in 1 second and aggressive in a blink of an eye. He's able to add a lot of emotion to his performances and really tap into a pitch black side as a singer. More often than not, he goes that route for Cosme's performances in the Paradox Live franchise. At the same time, while extremely underrated, Kobayashi has been part of various 2D groups with varying degrees of success. Some of those include Alchemist in the Aichu franchise, RGB Trinity in the Kira Tunes franchise, Rush in the Anidol Colors franchise, and Vezi in the Vez Rock franchise. His reliability as a singer and the unique mix of tenor with a bit of baritone range make him an awesome addition when 2D projects want to bring in someone that has a smooth, delicate delivery, but with an interesting twist that makes him go off in rock and hip-hop music. Yusuke Kobayashi adds to all those skills his want to be the best at what he does. You can feel the effort and passion he puts into his performances, something that, in my opinion, adds up to the enjoyment you can get as a listener. Although he's underrated, Yusuke Kobayashi is reliable, versatile, and one of the most exciting talents in the tenor range among male seiyuu. I'd love to find him in more projects, I'd love to see him experience true success and popularity. He deserves it. I recommend you to check Kiraoka with Kimi no Hana, Kiraoka and Futaba Kiduku with Rainy Rain Days, and Cosmes with Ain't No Love. To wrap up this list, is one of the most reliable singers among seiyuu, yet extremely underrated. I am talking about Nobunaga Shimazaki. He's a hybrid of a tenor and a baritone. While Shimazaki is far from sounding like a pure tenor, whenever he's in front of the mic ready to sing, he shines with his warm twist to the tenor range. He can go insanely high in his vocal range, belting those crystal clear high notes that will give you goosebumps. His long notes and legato are absolutely beautiful. His natural singing tone has a crispiness to it that, with the right amount of emotion, can make you cry with ease. Shimazaki excels at adding emotion to his performances in a way that's a skill he brings from voice acting in anime and narration. That's what usually makes him stand out in both fields, and when it comes to music, it isn't an exception. He's consistent both on record and in a live setting. He's energetic, emotional, clear, and straightforward in his performances. As a result, he's the one singer that I always love to find in 2D music projects, even though it is a rare thing to come across. Nobunaga Shimazaki is best known for his work as Joshua in the Dear Vocalist franchise. That's where he has grown as a singer, where he's shown his range and emotion without any prettying up done to his singing. His performances are raw, overflowing with emotion, and even if you don't follow the franchise and its drama CD components, you'll find yourself being struck by all those raw emotions in Shimazaki's performances as Joshua. Over the years, he's been part of seiyuu units and 2D groups, but he's not the most active when it comes to work in the music side of the seiyuu industry. He was part of Animaru's, Epicurean, Sweets, Noir Revolution, and Style 5. He's part of the Dear Vocalist franchise as Joshua and Lip Lip, a Honeyworks group. He's recently joined the Visual Prison franchise, a mixed-media visual K-rock project, as part of Lost Eden. Nobunaga Shimazaki brings a big shot of emotion into the performances of every group he joins. He's charismatic, reliable, with a warmth and emotional edge that will make you invested in his performances. By the end of the day, 2D music project creators know Shimazaki is a good choice for their projects. That's why he keeps getting cast in those. However, it is strange how Seiyuu fans or fans of 2D music don't give Nobunaga Shimazaki enough credit for his singing skills. I recommend you to check Joshua's Anata Eto and Dear. In a seiyuu industry overflowing with talented seiyuu that also have awesome singing skills, it's easy not to notice everyone. Also, in an industry in which age plays some role, veteran seiyuu, no matter how good their singing skills are, don't have much or any spotlight on themselves. Although this episode barely scratched the surface of some of the best singers among seiyuu that are incredibly underrated, I hope these 7 seiyuu are good starting points in your journey to get to know more about male seiyuu or just seiyuu music in general. There's no shortage of talent out there, and depending on what you love in a singer, whether it is vibrato or falsetto or even singers that are specialists in belting or in bringing out dark, raw performances, there's out there a myriad of seiyuu ready to dazzle you. These 7 seiyuu are good entry points for new fans of seiyuu. If you then want to get to know other seiyuu that are good singers but underrated, I'd suggest checking less popular 2D music projects. And why is that? Extremely popular 2D music projects attract or have attracted high-profile singers among seiyuu. You've already heard those names countless times on Seiyuu Lounge's episodes. Toshiyuki Toyonaga, Toshiki Masuda, Soma Saito, Taku Yaguchi, Yuma Uchida, Natsuki Hanae, Daiki Yamashita and Makoto Furukawa are the high-profile seiyuu that are commonly cast in 2D projects. They are the top of the top in terms of popularity and singing skills combined. Everyone that gets into 2D music knows about that, and even if they are not fans of those seiyuu, deep down it's safe to say that all agree they are among the best singers in the seiyuu industry. Those seiyuu, however, had to start somewhere before hitting stardom as singers. They've all started by being cast in less popular 2D music projects. In less popular 2D music projects, not only do you find equally high-quality music, but also highly talented singers, albeit not that popular or popular at all. Popularity is not always synonymous with quality, and that's why you can find awesome singers in those projects as well. That's where you can find diamonds in the rough among seiyuu. That's where there are many awesome talents waiting to be discovered by you and your friends. So I'd suggest you give it a try at different 2D music projects, especially ones that are not that popular. With that being said, I hope this episode sparks something in you and that you take some time to check this seiyuu as well as some of the projects they are involved in. Now tell me, which seiyuu, it doesn't have to be featured in this episode and it doesn't have to have a solo career, do you believe is extremely underrated as a singer and deserves more love from seiyuu fans? Let me know in the comments. And remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of Seiyuu Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male seiyuu and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Thank you for listening and see you guys around.